Hi, I'm Kevin O'Connor, and welcome back to Ask This Old House, where we'll go anywhere to answer your home improvement questions. This is a project we've been saving for a rainy day.
I've got some solutions for taking the water from your gutters and your downspouts and getting it away from your house.
Up in the loft, I'm going to teach you all about pliers. If you're going to do electrical, these lineman's pliers are worth their weight in gold.
And we're blowing in insulation, which is going to save this homeowner a lot of money. What gives, Roger? You said it was going to be a nice day.
It's a great day, Kevin, for talking about gutters and downspouts.
All right, well, you got me there.
People have a lot of problem with water coming down next to their house. In some cases, it can lead to leaks or water going in. Others, it can lead to softening of the wood in the house and termites and carpenter ants getting in. On this side of the house, the gutter and downspout are working fine. The water's coming out. The first line of defense is keeping your gutter clean so the water can flow down the downspout.
All right, but we've got a good working gutter here, and it's actually been extended away from the house.
And that's a great thing. Imagine all that water concentrated coming down and splashing right there on a foundation. Could lead to a problem.
It's actually worse than having no gutters at all.
Exactly.
So we've extended it, we've moved it away from the house.
And this is great because he's got a 4-foot section on here, and then the water comes out, and this slopes off, so that water just comes in and runs away from the house.
Grade is our friend here.
Right. Sometimes you might need a longer piece of pipe, 8 or 10 feet to get it out, but just get it out long enough, the water's flowing away from the house.
All right, so getting it from the downspout to the extension is done with an elbow. They make a bunch of different kinds.
Right, this is a classic. It just slides right in, and then you could attach here.
And this one attaches this way and pulls it away from the house.
In case you had to go to a different direction.
All right, now
great.
these are made out of aluminum.
Yep.
But there's some alternatives. These are plastic and accordion style.
Yeah, they bend and they can go around a corner for you. The only thing I don't like about these is they're short. You really have to add 2 or 3 together. And if you look on the inside, you'll see there's all ridges in there. Those ridges can collect debris and clog this pipe.
All right, well, we don't want a stoppage. We've also got these splash blocks. How do you feel about these?
These are good in certain situations. Now, if you can get close to the house, the water comes out and it disperses it, so it's not concentrated anymore. But you got to make sure that it's not tipped back towards the house. It has to be able to run away from the house.
So these are only going to work when we have proper grade.
Right.
Okay. Now, here's an extension arm that we found at the home center that's pretty clever. In this case, the extension is easily hidden behind all the plantings and the mulch.
Sometimes those extensions go out onto the lawn and they're fixed in place, so you have to kind of mow around them.
Right. But in this case, you can actually just bring the lawnmower up to it, it tips right up, you mow underneath it, and you put it right back down.
Pretty clever.
Yeah.
Well, the homeowner did some good things on this corner of the house, but out back, we got some problems we need to look at. Now, here's the corner where I found a problem. The downspout comes down, the homeowner extended it out to this point. But you can see when the water comes out, it's going to build up and flow onto the driveway. In the wintertime, it'll freeze. But also, as that water builds up, it's going to come back this way. See this big drop off in here? All that water is going to flow back down here and right down to the foundation and could weep right in.
So good intentions, but not the greatest effect. But sometimes you can't fight grade. It's just going towards the house, and we don't want to come in here with the big equipment and regrade this whole yard. So what do you suggest?
Well, fortunately, this homeowner is very lucky. If you look, that grade drops right off down there. So what I would do is connect this downspout to a solid pipe and just take and run it all the way down under the ground across the driveway, so it flows down the hill.
Not always an option for everybody, because sometimes grade never daylights,
No.
so never an opportunity to daylight, and then we've got another situation.
Right, so then we change tactics. We're going to try to weep the water down into the ground. I would dig a trench, a good 8 or 10 feet out away from the house.
Yep.
And in that trench, I would line the trench with fabric, put some stone, and then take a perforated pipe with the holes down, put it like this. The water will come through, go down into the stone, and weep into the soil.
And the fabric is to make sure that we don't get any of the soil into the stone, so that none of this clogs up.
That's right. Let me show you something new. Take a look at this. What this is a black slotted pipe wrapped in fabric. In between the fabric and the pipe are all little foam kernels.
And so this is replacing our pipe, stone, and fabric. It's putting it all in one?
Right, and it's lightweight. We can attach them piece by piece. It's just a much more efficient way to do it.
So this system here or this system here actually allows the water to leach out the length of the pipe.
That's right. What I do is I look at the roof to see how much water is coming off the roof. If I think it's going to be a lot of water that the channel itself can't handle, I'll put in a dry well. You take a look at this dry well. It's got slots all around it and no bottom on it.
Right.
I over dig a hole. I put in 3/4 inch stone, set this down in, put the cover on, line the hole with fabric, and then between the fabric and the drywall, more stone, so that water can just leach out.
And this is going to be able to handle quite a bit of water.
Yes, it is.
All right, well, great information on taking care of our gutters, Roger. And hey, you know what? I think the sun's coming out. We better get inside.
So Kevin, I thought we would get a grip, so to speak, on all the basics of pliers. You know, in all cases, what we're trying to do with a plier is to get enough leverage to either loosen a nut or tighten a nut or to turn a pipe.
Right.
So the most basic of pliers that comes in every basic home kit are these. These are slip joint pliers. There's only two positions, okay? Small or large. And in this case, you'd go onto a nut, and now you go there, and it always seems to slip. This is a good name for it, you know? Okay?
And it's just for the basic jobs, because on these you've got to apply the force to turn it, but also to squeeze this tight.
That's right. So my basic weapon always is this. This is water pump pliers, they call them. They call them channel locks or groove joint pliers. And you can see that there's a multiple of positions. Okay. So now when I go over to a pipe, it's important to put the wrench in the right direction. So a lot of people do it this way. Now this, and I'm trying to tighten it. Now this is backwards. So as I turn it, the teeth are just going to score the pipe. So I want to go this direction.
Because this is designed as you turn, it also makes a tighter bite.
That's right. So I go here. Now I also want to call this out. This is called a three-corner bite. You can see that this jaw are touching the pipe, but it also is touching on the back side.
Right.
So it's touching the pipe in three positions. And that'll keep them from squeezing the pipe out around.
Now you've got one there for a pipe, but they also have configurations that work on a nut.
That's right. It's shaped like a nut, okay? And so that would be much more prone to have a nice tight bite onto a nut.
Yep.
Now, a lot of times you might be working on a pipe or a nut that's chrome and you don't want to score it. They also make this as an accessory. These are actually booties.
Oh, that's nice.
They could go right onto the plier teeth.
So you get a good grip, but you can protect the work as well.
That's right, okay?
All right.
Now another thing is about the size of the plier. I've seen people do this, like you're doing right there. You have the wrong size pliers. Pull that away. You really want to have a plier that's big enough so I can get that same three-corner bite.
Right.
And I can go here, and you see how it bites, and I can hold it right tight, and that'll be a perfect grip.
Yeah, I mean, even if I could force these on, I mean, look what I got to do with my hand.
It's going to
up
spin,
here.
it's going to grind that nut. It doesn't work.
I can't get that in, so that's the wrong size.
That's right. All right, some other plier choices are right here. This is a multi-position right here, but it's got a locking button. So you can see all these points right here, so I can adjust it, lock it, and it'll lock at the right position.
Nice.
All right. Some other variations of that. This is an automatic plier that'll set to the right opening. This is another version of it right here.
So when you say sets automatically, I don't have to really fuss with the oh, wow,
That's
look at
right.
that. It just goes right to the
right
right
on
size.
it. So you don't have to have any button or adjustment.
Yeah, that's nice.
Okay. Now a lot of times in all of these pliers, it's going to make its bite, but it's also a function of how tight you can hold those handles together.
You still have to do both motions with this.
That's right. So sometimes if I'm working on a nut that's really seized, I might move from the plier world and go to this. This is an adjustable open-end wrench.
Right.
Okay? Now with that, I can set it and tighten it down on the nut, and now all of my effort, all of my force is to tighten that nut, and none of it is trying to hold those handles together.
Right. Beautiful thing about a wrench, this is another type of plier, but similar idea.
Right, locking plier. So now when I come to here, I come right to this point, and now it locks on. So again, all of my effort is to tighten the nut or to flip it around or to loosen the nut.
Right, different size and the same idea.
That's right, some smaller ones right here.
This is a great one.
This is pretty cool. This is actually, instead of this thumb screw here that I have to tighten or loosen, this is automatic. So when I put it onto the nut, it'll adjust to that size automatically without that thumb screw.
Not bad. All right, so we've got nuts and pipes covered, but sometimes we're doing electrical work.
That's right. If you're going to do electrical, these lineman's pliers are worth their weight in gold, and any electrician has them in their bag. So if I was using it, you can see right here, I could twist wires together right here. I could cut the wire right here perfectly.
Yeah.
I could also use this as a crimping tool right here in this side if I was trying to make a crimp connection.
Squeeze that
So these are really handy. Now they also make a crimping tool in multiple sizes for all the different size crimp fittings right here. So that's handy if you're doing a lot of electrical, small electrical work. And really, these are great to have diagonal wire cutters. If I'm cutting a lot of wire, that works out terrific.
Nice clean cut.
Yeah.
And then we've got nippers here.
That's right. Now, these nippers are often used in the carpentry world because they're perfect to be able to pull a nail that you might not be able to get a cat's paw or a hammer down tight.
Right, and that curved front right there.
It doesn't deface the wood.
It allows you to rock back and
Yeah.
forth. You could also get a nice clean cut if you had to.
Perfect, nice and flush. Now, a lot of times you might need to get into a tight place, and so a needle nose plier is perfect. Now, this can get down into a tight place, be able to pull a wire up. They also have some cutters right here, so those are handy. A smaller version right there. And these are actually designed to get down into a tight place, but around the bend.
Because the nose is curved.
That's right, so it really could come in handy. Now, there are all kinds of pliers in every single industry. Just a few of them are right here. This is for the fencing industry. It combines a hammer for the staple, and this can pull the wire, and a cutter to cut the wire ties. And this is for aviation, but there's one for every single industry.
All right, well that is a really good primer on pliers, Richard. Thank you.
All right.
Guys, this is gonna be the biggest wood we ever had.
Wow,
Look
look
at
at
it.
this.
Big black frame, clear dome, and all these black coils running through it.
I know this one, actually.
Then what is it?
No, I got this one.
You got
What
it?
is it? I'll tell you what this is. This is something I use every morning.
Yeah? How do you use it?
Now, I know you guys think that this physique comes from my jeans, right?
I didn't want to say anything, but those jeans are getting a little tight.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
No, this is how I keep in shape. Now, most people don't have time to do all the sit-ups and push-ups, but this, it actually has an oblique abdominal coefficient of 10. That
What does that
means, that means that for every sit-up you normally do, on this one, it's like doing 10.
Oh, yeah.
So I start off my morning by mounting it.
There you go.
And then it's just 10! Whoa! 20! Woo!
Time's up.
Turn it red.
Yeah. Feel the burn.
Yeah, I feel the burn.
No.
Give it a
I
try.
told you, I know what this is. You know, we are all getting bigger and bigger TV screens, home theaters, you know, they're 90 inches wide, right? Popcorn hasn't changed. Same size bag, it's from 1953. This is a home
1953.
popcorn maker. You open up this top right here, you put the popcorn down in, a little bit of butter, you plug it in, and that popcorn starts to pop, and that smell is so great in the TV room, you know? And then once it's done, a handy serving bowl. And who doesn't want to have a handy serving bowl like this as you're sitting on the 8-piece sectional with your clicker, living large, you know what I mean? Just sort of eating it. Yeah, nice. I don't need any salt, please, hold.
You're gonna need a 20-to-1 coefficient on your oblique.
It's a winner.
Well,
I tell you, I got one of them. I love them.
All right, let me say this. Who doesn't like the nice ambiance of a fire pit?
Oh, everyone.
Nothing nice. Everybody wants a fire pit.
Yeah.
Indoors, outdoors, right
An
here.
indoor fire pit.
This is an indoor, outdoor
Interesting
fire
concept.
pit. All right. The nice thing about this is no flame.
Okay.
These coils heat up, just like an electric stove. You see the coil on top gets red,
sure.
but this doesn't generate any heat, so you can't get burned.
A heatless heater.
Fire pit.
Nice, nice.
That's nice.
You guys are
wastes a lot of
amazing.
energy.
Safe. No
Beautiful.
energy is wasted
Totally
at all.
American.
But Tom was actually close. This is a heater.
I told you.
This is for your pool. All
Oh.
you do is you hook this up to the pool. The water runs through, goes through all these coils, gets heated up,
By
comes
the
out
sun.
the other side. Perfect, green, safe.
Solar heater. All right, and an ambulator.
Jumping jacks.
You'll break it.
So Tommy, we've got a cold attic, winter is on its way, and the homeowner would like to add some insulation.
Well, he should add some insulation. He's got nothing here. He's got like 2 inches of rock wool right here.
And it looks like it's old and it is settled. So we're looking for R value, and as we all know, R value is the resistance to heat transfer.
Right.
So that means all the heat in the house doesn't have much resistance when it wants to come up through this attic floor.
Right.
What do you think the R value is at
The
that
R
rock
value,
wool?
well, I'd guess the R value of that to be about a 6 if he's lucky.
6, that's
Right.
it, huh? And if you're building a new house, what do they require you to put in?
Building code says minimum of 30, should be 38.
Wow, 6 to 38. So we got our work cut out for
We
us.
do have our work cut out for us.
I'm seeing some open bays around the perimeter, and then I'm seeing planks that are nailed down over the joist bays here in the center of the floor. Do we have to pull all these nails and pull up the planks?
We are not going to pull up all the boards. We're going to pull up 1 or 2 boards, and we're going to blow in loose insulation under the boards. In all the open bays, we're going to use this right here, bat insulation.
All right, sounds like a little bit of a cocktail of insulation. Where do you want to get started?
Well, I want to get started by cutting these pieces right here. They're going to go in the joist bay into the eaves.
You give me some measurements, I'll do the cutting.
All right. For our first measurement, it'll be the length. I'll hook the tape on the outside of the outside wall and measure to the inside of this joist is 29 inches. Next measurement will be the width. Our joists are 12 inches on center, so cut them 10 and a half, 11 inches.
All right, I'm going to cut the length at 29 using a knife. That's my 29. And for the width, the bat actually comes perforated in 4 areas, which means I can just tear off the last one, and it leaves me with 11 inches.
All right, I'm gonna need one with a corner cut out of it for this rafter right here. So leave on 1 inch and then cut to 2 3/4. Come 2 inches on the bottom and go up 5 inches. Taper that cut.
And 1 inch from the edge, 1.5 inches for the rafter, tapered.
Cut off about 2 inches of the paper at the bottom. So now we have about the angle of the rafter on the insulation.
Coming in.
All right, so here's the slot that you've cut, and it's tapered down to follow the taper of the rafter. I want the insulation to fit nice and snug around that rafter. I also want to make sure I fluff the insulation up. So I want to push it down into the bay. Then I want to pull it up gently to fluff it up, bringing it right up even with these 2x6s. You know, it's important to know that we're actually not insulating the attic. We're actually insulating the ceiling of the room below.
And that's why we don't have any insulation up here in the rafter bays. It's why we're putting it down in the floor in the joist bays.
Right.
Because we want air to circulate through this attic all year long, right?
All year long. And the air gets into the attic from a slot that's underneath the gutter. It's called a soffit vent. All right? And that's why we didn't let the insulation touch the underside of the roof sheathing. We want that air to get pulled in and go out through the ridge vent.
Which is another slot, basically a hole in the roof that's covered to let the air out.
Exactly.
So that circulation is happening all year long. What does the air movement do for us in the winter time?
It does a couple of things. First of all, it keeps the temperature of the attic lower, which is a good thing. It also takes any moisture that should get through the insulation into the attic, it gets pulled out, because we don't want any moisture collecting underneath the roof sheathing, because that's really cold. That can condense and frost could form.
Right. We also want it moving in the summer. What does the movement do for us then?
Again, it keeps the temperature of the attic down because the air is cooler down low. It comes up through the soffit vents because the warmer air pulls it through, lowering the temperature of the attic.
So the circulation all year long is keeping the attic cooler, getting rid of the moisture. It's critical that we don't block the air movement.
Right. You see that daylight in there? Well, that's the soffit, and that light is coming up through the soffit vent. When we install the bat, we want to be very careful not to block that opening.
So you actually pull the bat back a little bit from that opening.
Right. Now we have a nice 2-inch space here for plenty of air to come up over it. We could use one of these styrofoam baffle systems right here to slide in. But we're really taking our time putting it in the insulation, so we don't need the baffle.
Although if we were blowing in cellulose or loose pack, that baffle would really come in handy.
Right, you don't want any insulation to block that ventilation. Here in the eaves, we laid our insulation directly on top of the plaster ceiling, so we used an insulation with a vapor retarder on it.
And that's this paper facing.
Exactly. Now, in these bays right here, there's insulation already in them. So I want to use a different insulation, one that doesn't have a vapor retarder on it, called unfaced insulation.
So why no vapor retarder here?
Because if I use a vapor retarder between the insulations, the moisture from below can get trapped between the two insulations, dampening this insulation here, making it less effective.
All right, so let's get the unfaced insulation into the rest of these bays.
Sounds good. Now the insulation that we placed in between the bays is 6-inch R19 insulation. We want to get an R38, so we're going to take a second layer of unfaced 6.5 insulation, lay it on top of the new insulation that we just installed, pushing it up tight and perpendicular to the joist.
Now, why are you going perpendicular to what the joists and what we already laid?
Well, it actually makes it more efficient. If any heat should get up through one of these cracks between the insulation and the joist, this insulation here will help stop it.
So you're almost weaving this in there. Okay.
That's right. So we push it up nice and tight to create a nice tight seal there.
And we're being careful not to block those
Right.
soffits.
I don't want to push it in all the way.
All right, Tommy, I get the R38 by doubling us up, but we haven't blown in any insulation beneath these floorboards yet, and we're covering them up.
Right. Well, what we're going to do is we're actually going to cover this floor first. Then we're going to remove a board and blow the insulation under the floor.
And why are you doing it in that order?
Well, this will keep the dust down when we blow.
Because it's going to want to come up between the gaps in all these boards?
Exactly.
All right, good thinking. Each bag of this blown-in fiberglass insulation covers about 30 square feet when we dense pack it into the floorboards like we're doing.
I'm going to measure. I want to measure about 3/4 of the distance into the bay. Pull the hose out, push it back in. Now I'm going to turn the blower on, and that will blow the insulation into the cavity. Now as the bay starts to fill, it dense packs the insulation. It'll start pushing the insulation back and also pushing the hose out.
You can rent an insulation machine for about $50 a day, but if you buy enough bags of insulation from the home center, they might throw the rental in for free.
You can actually see the hose coming out on its own, so that tells me that the insulation is being packed in there just right.
All right, Tommy, last bat's going into place. So we started off with an R6. What do you think we ended up with?
Well, with the dense packed insulation under the floorboards and the R19 over the floorboards, we've got over an R40.
Wow, from 6 to 40. This homeowner is going to save a lot of money.
He sure is going to notice a big difference, and right away.
That attic is really well insulated, but what about the heat that could come up through that stairway?
Well, what we did is we took some rigid foam insulation and we made a hatch to cover that opening, really tighten it up and lessening the heat loss. Now, if you wanted to store something in that attic, I would eliminate that top layer of fiberglass and cover the subfloor with rigid foam. You can put as many layers as you want, depending on the R factor that you're looking for. And then so it doesn't get damaged, you can then just layer another layer of plywood on top of that to protect the foam.
So you got a place to put boxes, but you'd also increase the R value.
Exactly.
And so what's the R value per inch out of rigid foam?
Rigid foam is 5 per inch, so 3 of these almost equals 6 inches of this.
Great.
All right. Well, we'd love to hear from you, so keep your letters and your emails coming. And until next time, I'm Kevin O'Connor
I'm Tom Silva.
I'm Richard Trethewey.
And I'm Roger Cook.
for Ask This Old House.
Wow.